The invitation aboard the orbiting Centauri Arena station, alien spectators from dozens of species gathered for Jack Carter, stood in a long silver hallway. The walls were smooth and glowing with blue lights. All around him, strange beings moved. Some were tall, with shining eyes. Others crawled or floated. They came from across the galaxy to see the intergalactic combat trials. Among the competitors was a single human, Jack Carter, a former Earth Marine with a quiet voice and a lean frame. The other species mocked him, especially the reigning champions, the Hellenics. Their leader, Korga, a massive six-armed warlord, laughed, and proclaimed they would wager their most precious treasurer, glowing crystal known as the Heart of Varn, because a human could never win but. Jack was the only human. Part 2, the reason he came. Jack wasn't there for glory. His younger sister, Lily Carter, was taken hostage by a pirate faction allied with the Hellenics. The only way to free her was to win the trials. As he trained in the arena's lower levels, he met Mira, a young translator from the Andari species who believed humans had untapped potential. She warned him that many fights were rigged, and the Hellenics would never allow a human to win fairly. He wore a simple black training suit. His short brown hair was still damp from the cleansing chamber. He looked calm, but his heart beat fast. He had trained for this moment. He knew many wanted to see him fail. Part 3, the first round, Jack faced his first opponent, a towering insectoid called Vrix. The crowd expected Jack to fall in seconds, but Jack dodged each strike with precision, and used a mix of martial arts and clever tactics. In under 5 minutes, Vrix was on the ground, unable to continue. The arena fell silent. A few began to cheer. A group of loud aliens passed him. One of them pointed at Jack and laughed. The creature had red skin and thick arms. It turned to its friends and said, "That's the human. He won't last 5 seconds in the ring." Part 4, the rising threat. With every win, Jack drew more attention. Rumors swirled that the Hellenics were planning to sabotage his matches. Mira helped him avoid traps and poisoned food. Jack faced opponents with claws, energy whips, and telekinetic powers. Still, he adapted, endured, and won. Korga's laughter began to fade. Yet, the Heart of Varn remained in the bed. Jack stayed quiet. He was used to this. Ever since he arrived at the Centauri Arena station, no one took him seriously. Most thought humans were weak, too soft, not ready for battle. But Jack knew something they didn't. Part 5, the near defeat in the semi-finals. Jack fought a telepath named Zira, who tried to invade his mind with visions of Lily being hurt. Jack stumbled, nearly lost, but remembered his training. He grounded himself in reality, overwhelmed Zira with sheer willpower, and turned the battle. The crowd exploded with cheers. He wasn't here for fun. He wasn't here for pride. He was here for his sister, Lily. Part 6, the final duel, the final battle, was against Korga himself. 6 arms, armored skin, and decades of combat experience made Korga nearly unbeatable. Jack knew brute strength would not win. He studied Korga's patterns and provoked mistakes. Dodging, countering, and striking weak spots, he exhausted Korga over an hour-long fight. With one final blow to a nerve cluster, Jack dropped the warlord 2 weeks ago. Pirates attacked a human transport ship. Lily was on that ship. She was taken as a hostage by a group working with the Hellenics. The Hellenics were the top fighters in the galaxy. They ruled the arena. Their leader, Korga, was feared everywhere. Part 7, the price paid. Silence, then uproar. The heart of Varn was handed over to Jack, as promised. The Hellenics were humiliated, but their code of honor forced them to comply. Jack didn't keep the treasure. He traded it immediately for Lily's freedom. As he left the arena with his sister and Myra by his side, many aliens looked at humans differently. Not just as underdogs, but as equals and, perhaps, something more. Jack found a way to talk to the ones in charge. He begged for a chance to fight in the trials. He knew if he won, the Hellenics would have to listen. The rules of the arena were old and sacred. Once a prize was promised, it had to be paid. End of story. Outline now. The Hellenics were so sure he would lose, they placed their greatest treasure as a bet. The heart of Varn. It was a crystal of pure energy, shining with blue and gold. Light. It was said to hold power beyond understanding. But Jack didn't care about the crystal. He only cared about trading it for Lily. In the waiting area, a small girl with green hair and silver eyes walked toward him. She was Andari, a species known for peace and language. Her name was Myra. She had been helping Jack since he arrived. "They are laughing again," she said. "They think you are just a joke." Jack gave a small smile. "That's okay. Let them laugh now." Mira looked around and leaned closer. "I heard something. The Hellenics are not just confident. They are planning things. Maybe traps, maybe poison. You have to be careful." Jack nodded. "Thank you, Mira. I'll watch my back." She touched his arm gently. "You are different from the others. You do not fight with hate. You fight with heart. That is rare." A voice spoke over the loudspeaker. It was deep and cold. "Fighters, prepare for the first round. Combat begins in 10 minutes. Jack took a deep breath. The door in front of him opened slowly. Bright lights poured in. The arena was huge, with tall walls and floating screens. Aliens filled the seats, cheering and shouting in many tongues. He stepped into the ring. Across from him stood his first opponent, a large insect-like being with sharp legs and green armor. Its name was Vrix. It clicked its mandibles and raised its arms. The crowd cheered louder. Jack moved into position. He remembered his training. Stay light, stay smart. Don't let fear take over. The bell rang. Vrix charged with a scream. Its arms moved fast, trying to stab. Jack dodged left, then right. He dropped to the floor and rolled behind Vrix. The crowd gasped. The human was moving faster than they expected. Vrix turned and swung again. Jack jumped back, then forward. He landed a punch to Vrix's side. It stumbled. Jack kicked its leg, and it fell. The fight continued for 5 minutes. Jack stayed calm. He used quick moves, low strikes, and smart steps. Finally, Vrix made a mistake. It charged too hard. Jack slipped past and struck the neck joint. Vrix collapsed. The arena went silent, then a cheer rose. The announcer's voice boomed. "Winner of match 1, Jack Carter, human of Earth." Jack stood still. Sweat ran down his face. He looked at the crowd. Some were shocked, others curious. A few even clapped. He walked back through the gate where Mira waited. She looked at him with wide eyes. "You did it. They didn't think you would, but you did." Jack smiled. One fight down, a few more to go. Mira nodded slowly. "They're going to start watching you now. They won't take it easy next time." Jack looked up toward the high box where Korga watched. The warlord leaned forward, no longer laughing. Jack whispered, "Good. Let them see what a human can really do." The halls behind the arena were cold and silent. Jack walked slowly, breathing hard. His muscles ached from the fight. He had pushed himself hard, but it was worth it. He had won. Myra followed close behind him. She carried a small towel and handed it to him. "You moved fast," she said softly. "Faster than I expected." Jack wiped the sweat from his face. "I had to. That thing wanted to tear me apart." "They all will," Mira replied. "Each fighter now wants to be the one who takes down the human. They think beating you will bring them honor." Jack nodded. "Let them come. I'm not backing down." In a room filled with floating lights and soft humming walls, Jack sat down on a bench. A medical droid scanned his arms and chest. A few bruises, but no real injuries. He was lucky, for now, across the room, two tall warriors whispered. One wore grey armor and sharp metal blades on his arms. The other was pale and slim, with glowing red eyes. They looked at Jack, then turned away and laughed. "They're planning something," Myra whispered. "I don't trust them." "I don't either," Jack said. Soon the voice came again. "Second round in 30 minutes. Fighters, report to the southern gate." Myra looked worried. "They are rushing the fights. Normally there's more rest between rounds." "They want me tired," Jack said. "They think I can't last." Mira looked at him carefully. "Can you?" Jack stood. His legs were sore, but steady. "I've come too far to stop now." They walked together to the southern gate. This time, the hallway was darker. Jack noticed small flying cameras above, following his every step. The galaxy was watching. In the center of the arena. The floor shifted. Spikes rose, and deep pits opened. It was a trap zone. A harder battlefield meant to test a fighter's skill. Jack stepped onto the floor and looked across. His next opponent was a female warrior named Zala. She was from a planet called Drexel. Her skin was silver, and her arms were covered in golden armor. She held two short swords that hummed with energy. The crowd cheered for her. She had won 10 matches before. She bowed once to the audience, then turned to face Jack. Her eyes were cold. "I do not enjoy killing," she said, "but I must protect my rank." Jack raised his hands. "Do what you must." The bell rang. Zala moved like lightning. Her swords flashed in the air. Jack ducked, rolled, and jumped back. One sword grazed his side. He winced but stayed focused. He knew he couldn't beat her with strength. She was fast, trained, and dangerous. So he used the battlefield. He moved around the traps, letting her chase him. He jumped over pits and slid under blades. She followed, growing more annoyed with every miss. Finally, she made a mistake. She jumped high, aiming for his chest. Jack stayed in his room for a long time after the fight with the beast. His whole body ached. His left arm was bruised and his ribs hurt when he breathed. Myra brought him food and bandages, but she said very little. She looked worried. Stood in the hallway outside the arena. His hands were wrapped in tape, and his heart beat hard in his chest. Mira stood next to him, quiet but watchful. The first match had been tough, but Jack had made it through. Now the second round was about to begin. "They will try something worse now," she said. "You hurt their pride. They won't let that go." The door opened. The light from the arena poured in. The crowd was louder this time. Word had spread that the human had won a fight. Many came now to see if it was a fluke. Jack nodded. He had seen it in Korga's eyes. The warlord was angry, not just because Jack was winning, but because Jack was proving that a human could stand against the best of them, the rules of the arena said the winner would claim the prize. That meant Jack was getting closer to saving. Lily stepped into the arena. It was larger. This time, the floor was covered in red sand, and strange pillars rose from the ground like teeth. Across from him stood a tall creature with metal skin and glowing eyes. It held a spear in one hand and a shield in the other. The next day, the arena was quiet, too quiet. Jack woke up early and stretched his sore limbs. Mira entered his room with a grim face. Announcer's voice rang out. Second round. Jack Carter of Earth versus Garak the Iron Fang. Today, you fight two opponents, she said. Garak roared. The crowd shouted. Jack took his stance. Jack frowned. That's not fair. They changed the rules, Mira said. They say it's a special challenge round, but we know the truth. They want you gone. Jack stood and started to prepare. Then I'll fight twice as hard. Mira handed him a small bandage with cooling gel. This will help the burn on your arm. Jack thanked her. You've done a lot for me, Myra. Why do you keep helping me? She looked at the floor. Because you remind me that honor still matters, and because no one else ever tried to win a fight for love. Jack smiled, just a little. Let's see if I can keep winning. When Jack entered the arena, the crowd was already shouting. The two opponents were already waiting. One was tall and thin, with 4 arms and long silver blades. The other was short and heavy, with thick skin and a hammer-like tail. Together, they looked like a nightmare. The announcer's voice echoed around the arena. Special challenge round. Jack Carter of Earth versus Trell and Borak of the Twin Moons. The bell rang. They attacked together. Gorak charged forward. His spear shot out like lightning. Jack moved to the side. The spear grazed his shoulder. Pain. Shot through his arm, but he stayed on his feet. Jack jumped back. One blade cut the air near his face. The other fighter tried to trip him with his tail. Jack rolled and ran to the side. He circled Garak, looking for a weak spot. Garak swung the spear again. Jack ducked, rolled, and struck the metal leg. It felt like punching a wall. He had to separate them. Garak kicked him. Jack flew back and landed hard. He got up slowly, breathing heavy. Garak was strong and protected. He picked up a small piece of broken stone and threw it at the tall one's face. The distraction worked. The tall one blinked and stepped back. Jack rushed toward the heavy one, kicked him in the knee, and darted. Away. Jack remembered what Mira said earlier. His power is great, but his joints are old. Hit the weak spots. The two fighters clashed into each other. The crowd laughed and shouted. Jack moved again. He dodged the spear, jumped onto a pillar, and leapt down behind Garak. He struck behind the knee. Garak stumbled. Jack used the moment to catch his breath. He needed a plan hit again. This time, Garak roared in pain. He noticed the heavy one moved slower and always followed the same path. Jack moved near one of the raised platform traps. Just as he hoped, Borak followed. The crowd gasped. The human was hurting the Iron Fang. Jack jumped as Garak turned fast and swung his shield. Jack was knocked aside. His side burned. He stood. Again, shaking. Borak stepped onto the trap and was shot into the air. He fell hard and didn't get up. He watched Gorak's movements. The left side was slower now. Jack aimed for it. Now it was 1-on-1, ran forward, ducked the spear, and slid under the shield. He kicked the weak leg. Garak dropped to one knee. Trell growled and spun his blades. Jack focused on the pattern. 2 slashes high, 1 low. Then a quick stab. Jack waited. Jack climbed onto his back and struck the shoulder joint. Garak threw him off, but the arm hung limp now. He blocked the first 2 swings with his arms, ducked under the low slash, and then caught the stabbing hand. He twisted and used Trell's own weight to flip him onto the ground. The crowd was silent. The blades scatterjack stood, swaying. Garak tried to rise, but couldn't. Jack stepped back, breathing hard. Krell tried to stand, but COULDN, single quote. The bell rang. Winner, Jack Carter. Winner, Jack Carter of Earth. The crowd roared. Jack raised his arm. Myra appeared by his side with water and a towel shouted in surprise. Some cheered, some booed, but all eyes were on the human who won again. That was dangerous, she said. Jack walked back to the hallway. Myra was waiting with water. But I'm still here. Jack, you did it, she said. Later that evening, Jack sat near the window in his room. He looked out at the stars. He imagined Lily out there somewhere, waiting. He would not stop. He would not give up. Jack took the water and drank. Barely he's the toughest one so far. Mira entered with a data pad, nodded. They're going to start. Fearing you. Be careful. They have announced the semi-final, she said. That night, Jack didn't sleep much. He thought of Lily. He remembered the promise he made to her when they left Earth. I'll always protect you. Jack looked at her now. That promise kept him moving forward. Who is it? The next morning, Jack and Myra were in the training hall. Myra pulled up data on his next opponent. She hesitated. It's Korga. Her name is Sailor, Mira said. She uses speed and poison blades. Jack stood up, the warlord himself. Sounds bad, Jack said. Double quotes, yes, he has broken tradition. No champion has fought in the trials for over 10 years. But Korga wants to make sure you lose. She's deadly, but she underestimates everyone. She likes to toy with her enemies. Jack looked down at his hands. Bruised, tired, but ready. Then I'll have to end it quickly, Jack said. Then I'll fight him. He said he trained hard that day. Mira watched his moves, corrected his footwork, and made him repeat attacks again and again. Mira looked at him with fear in her eyes. He has killed hundreds. He destroyed a planet in a single war. By evening, Jack was sore, but ready. Jack nodded, and he took my sister. That's all I need to know. The next fight came fast. The arena was smaller this time, more like a ring. The crowd was closer, louder. The day of the semi-final arrived. The whole station buzzed with noise. Every screen in the arena showed the words, Human versus Korga. The crowd filled every seat. People from different worlds had come to see the battle sealer was already there. She was thin, tall, and dressed in black armor. 2 curved blades rested on her hips. Jack stood behind the gate. Myra was beside him. She tied his wrist guards tight and looked at him. She looked at Jack and smiled. So, the little human wants to play. You don't have to do this, she said. You could walk away. Jack didn't respond. If I walk away, Lily stays a prisoner, Jack replied. This is the only way. The gate opened slowly. Light filled the hallway. Jack walked forward. The crowd roared. Korga was already in the center. He wore black armor with gold lines. His eyes were full of hate. Korga raised one hand. The arena fell silent. You should not be here, human, he said. But since you are, I will end this quickly. Jack didn't answer. He took his stance. The bell rang. Korga moved fast for someone so big. He swung a heavy axe. Jack dodged. The axe hit the ground with a loud crack. Sailor moved fast. She danced around Jack, slicing the air. Jack blocked one blade, then ducked under the second. Jack struck back with a punch to Korga's side. It was like hitting steel. Korga grabbed Jack and threw him across the arena. She struck his arm. A small cut. It burned. Jack rolled and stood. He wiped blood from his lip, backed away. He couldn't take too many hits. She was trying to weaken him slowly. Korga charged. Jack moved aside, grabbed a broken rod from the floor, and struck Korga's knee. He waited, watched. Korga stumbled, then she struck again. Jack blocked with his arm, then punched her in the side. She hissed and moved back. Jack kept moving, using speed and small attacks. He could not match Korga's strength, but he could. Wear him down. He pressed forward, landing another hit. She stumbled. Korga growled. You're wasting time. She threw a small knife. Jack dodged. It hit the wall and exploded in smoke. No, Jack said. I'm learning. Jack held his breath and jumped through the cloud. He caught her by surprise and tackled her. The crowd watched closely. They expected Korga to crush Jack in minutes. But now they saw the human standing firm. They rolled. She tried to stab, but he grabbed her wrist and twisted. Korga attacked again. Jack leaped over the swing and kicked Korga in the back. Her blade dropped. Korga fell to one knee. Jack kicked it away and stood. Jack rushed in. He aimed for the weak point in the armor. She rose slowly. Her smile was gone. His strike landed. She charged. Full speed, Korga roared and spun, throwing Jack away. But the armor cracked. Jack sidestepped and struck her head with his elbow. She fell. Jack got up slowly. He was breathing hard, bleeding. Korga was angry now. He charged without thinking. Bell rang. Jack waited. Winner, Jack Carter. Later that night, in a secret part of the arena, Korga met with his advisors. A tall, thin alien with metal claws leaned close and said, "He is winning. This cannot continue." Korga slammed his fist on the table. "He is just a human, weak. Flesh, we will crush him. Bring out the beast." The next morning, Jack and Myra were walking through the lower halls when they passed a heavy metal door. Jack paused. He heard something behind it, a deep, low growl. Myra looked nervous. "That is the holding area. Only the worst creatures are kept there. They are not fighters, they are monsters." Jack stared at the door. He could feel the danger behind it. Soon, the arena announced his next fight. There was no name, no photo, only a warning. Next match, Jack Carter versus Unit X-99. Myra looked afraid. "That is not a normal name. That means it is something created, something dangerous." Jack prepared. He rested, stretched, and cleared his mind. When he entered the arena, the lights were dim. The ground shook. A large gate opened. Out stepped a beast taller than anything Jack had ever seen. It had metal parts, claws, and glowing red eyes. It roared, and the sound filled the arena. Jack knew this would not be a test of speed or skill. This was survival. The bell rang. Jack ran. The beast chased. It smashed walls, tore up the floor, and swung its heavy arms. Jack stayed just ahead, dodging, thinking. Then he saw the weak spot, a small blinking light on its back. He had one chance. He climbed the arena wall, jumped off a ledge, and landed on the beast's back. He punched the light with all his strength. The beast screamed, shook, and then fell. Smoke filled the air. The arena was silent. Then the bell rang again. Winner, Jack Carter. The crowd went wild. Even some aliens who hated humans stood and cheered. Jack fell to his knees, breathing hard. Myra ran to him and helped him stand. "That was not a fight," she said. "That was murder. They tried to kill you." Jack looked up at the VIP box. Korga was gone. "They're scared now," Jack said. Good. Jack stood still as the gate behind him closed with a loud clang. The lights above the arena flickered, and the air was thick with silence. He could hear the faint sounds of the crowd waiting above. But here, deep in the arena's center, it felt like he was all alone. Wasn't. The floor ahead began to shift, and a heavy metal door opened at the far end. A deep growl echoed from the shadows. Jack took a deep breath. He had heard stories about this fight. The beast, Myra had called it. Not a trained warrior, not a soldier, just pure destruction. The creature stepped into the light. It was huge, twice Jack's height. Its skin was rough and dark like stone. 4 arms, each one ending in thick claws. 2 red eyes glowed from its head, and when it roared, the walls shook. Jack held his ground. He had no sword, no armor, only his fists and speed. He didn't blink. The crowd above began to chant in the alien tongue. They wanted blood. The bell rang. The beast charged forward, shaking the ground. Jack moved fast, dodging to the left, rolling. Under a swing of its massive arm, dust flew into the air as the claw smashed into the floor behind him. Jack stood quickly and struck the beast's leg with a punch, but it felt like hitting a wall. The creature didn't even flinch. It turned and swiped at him again. Jack ducked just in time, but he felt the wind rush past his face. "I can't hurt it like this," Jack thought. "I need to outsmart it." He started running around the arena, between broken pillars and sharp rocks. The beast followed, crashing through everything in its path. Jack jumped, climbed, and used every part of the arena to stay ahead. Then he saw something. A pile of old weapons thrown into a corner, maybe from past matches. Jack ran toward it. He grabbed a long metal rod, heavy but strong. The beast roared and came after him. Jack waited, let it come closer. Then, at the last moment, he spun and jammed the rod into the ground, pointing the end up. The beast ran straight into it. The sharp end stabbed into its shoulder. It howled in pain. Jack jumped onto its back and grabbed a chain wrapped around its neck. The creature bucked, trying to throw him off. Jack held tight. He wrapped the chain tighter and tighter, cutting off its air. The beast roared and spun, but Jack didn't let go. His arms burned, his body ached, but he kept going. Finally, the creature dropped to one knee, then fell forward with a heavy crash. The bell rang. The crowd was silent. Then came the voice, "Winner." Jack Carter. Jack slowly stood. His arms were bleeding, and his shirt was torn, but he had one. Myra ran into the arena and helped him up. "That was madness," she whispered. "You could have died." Jack gave her a tired smile, but I didn't. They walked back to the resting area. Other fighters looked at him differently now. No more mocking, no more doubt, just fear and respect. That night, Mira brought him food and medicine. Jack sat on a bed made of soft fabric and looked at the stars through a small window. He thought of Earth, of blue skies and green trees. Of home they thought I would lose, he said softly. They were sure. Myra nodded. They bet everything, even their treasure. Jack turned to her. What is the treasure? Myra was quiet for a moment. Then she said, a girl from another world. A rare species. Her kind is almost gone. They keep her locked away like a prize. Jack clenched his fists. They think she's property. She's more than that, Myra said. She's the last of her bloodline. Her voice carries knowledge, songs, and power from her people. That's why she's precious. Jack stood slowly. Then I'll win the final match, and I'll take her from them. Myra looked at him, eyes wide. Do you mean to escape? Mean to end this, Jack said. No more games, no more chains. The next morning, the sky above the arena turned red. It was a signal. The final match was near. Korga, the warlord, stood in his high tower. He looked down at the arena with cold eyes. Behind him stood his best warrior, a man with armor black as night and a face hidden behind a mask. He is only human, Korga said. Crush him. The warrior nodded once. Back in the hallway, Jack stretched his arms and looked ahead. He was sore, tired, bruised, but inside, he was stronger than ever. Myra handed him a small charm. It's from my people. For courage. Jack took it. Thank you. He walked forward, toward the gate, toward the final battle. Jack stood inside the narrow tunnel that led to the arena. The walls were made of black stone, cold to the touch. The floor under his boots shook with the sound of footsteps above. The crowd was louder than ever. This was the final match. This was the moment everything would change. He held the small charm Myra had given him. It felt warm in his hand. He closed his eyes and thought of Lily, her smile, her voice, her promise to wait for him. He had to win, not just for her, but for all the people who believed he couldn't. The gate opened slowly. Light poured in, bright and sharp. The air smelled of dust and heat. Jack stepped forward into the center of the arena. The stands were full. Creatures of all shapes and sizes watched him in silence. Across the arena stood the final opponent. He wore black armor from head to toe. A long blade rested in his hand. His mask was shaped like a skull, and his armor had no markings. He didn't move. He didn't speak. But Jack could feel the danger. This was no ordinary fighter. This was Korga's personal champion. The announcer's voice echoed. Final match. Jack Carter of Earth versus the shadow of Korga. The bell rang. The shadow moved like lightning. In one breath, he was already in front of Jack. The sword swung. Jack ducked just in time, the blade cutting through the air where his head had been. Jack rolled to the side and stood. He tried to strike the shadow's side, but the armor blocked the hit. The shadow kicked him. Jack flew backward and hit the ground hard. Pain shot through his back, but he forced himself to get up. The crowd roared. Some cheered. Others screamed. But Jack didn't listen. He focused on the fighter in front of him. The shadow came again, fast and sharp. Jack blocked the sword with a broken shield on the ground. The metal sparked. Jack threw sand into the air and used the moment to punch the shadow's leg. The shadow stumbled but did not fall. Jack backed away, breathing hard. He looked around. The arena had traps. He saw one a pressure plate near a pillar. He ran toward it. The shadow followed. At the last second, Jack stepped aside. The shadow stepped on the plate, A spike shot from the ground and hit the shadow's shoulder. He roared in pain. It was the first sound Jack had heard from him. Jack attacked fast. He punched the weak side of the armor again and again. The metal cracked. The shadow swung his sword in rage, but Jack ducked and kicked him hard in the chest. The shadow fell. Jack rushed to grab the sword and pointed it at the fallen warrior. The bell rang. Winner, Jack Carter of Earth. The crowd exploded in noise. Some shouted in anger, others in shock, but the result was clear. The human had won. Mira ran into the arena, her eyes wide with disbelief. She hugged Jack. "You did it. You won." Jack dropped the sword. His body hurt everywhere, but he smiled. "I'm going to see Lily now," he said. Guards came and led him to a tall building at the edge of the arena. Inside was quiet, clean, bright. In a glass room stood a girl with dark hair and soft eyes. She looked up when Jack entered. "Lily," Jack whispered. She ran to him, and they hugged tightly. "I knew you'd come," she said. "I never stopped," he said. "Let's go home." But before they could leave, Korga appeared at the door. His face was calm, but his eyes were filled with fire. "You won the match," he said, "but you cannot take her. She is the treasure. She does not belong to you." Jack stepped in front of Lily. "She is my sister. She belongs with her family." Korga raised one hand.